Hey everybody, my name is Nevin Ragavir with Nevin Real Estate Remax Results, and today it's my pleasure to introduce you to Rex Kulla of Custom Home Inspections. Rex has worked with me on probably hundreds of home purchases over the number of years, and we're going to do something for everybody today. We're going to give you the top 5 things that you should do to your home to get it ready for summer. So we're going to go ahead with that. Rex, do you have any opening words?
Nope, we can get walking. Basically, it's pretty basic stuff to get ready for summer and selling, or for that
For
matter.
prepping for that.
prepping for selling. Just making sure your house is ready for the summer months. So.
Okay. Item number 1 is going to be downspouts and gutters, right, Rex?
Yep.
And this is a home that we have a buyer that's purchased, and we've already noticed one item here with the downspout extension. So go ahead,
Yep.
take it away, Rex.
So big thing on homes is downspouts, and making sure downspouts and things like that. So this one's got a downspout that's missing. Easy to attach. They can slide right on. Just have it so it comes out to the very edge of the grading of the landscaping and stuff, so that water can get out and away.
Can you bury this into the ground?
They do bury them. Those are great in the summertime when it's 85 and sunny, but when you get early spring, the buried ones can freeze up. They can freeze up over wintertime, and it takes a while for those to get thawed out. So it's nice to have an above ground option for those.
So this is good for winter.
This is great. This is great for right now. It could be left right out to here,
Okay.
so you can still mow and stuff, and that's not a problem. They just slide right on here. This is already crimped, so one would slide on there. A piece like this would just slide on there. They also have ones that have like a hinge on them that are attached to that. So if you got one that's longer, you can attach that, and the hinge comes up, and then they'll have a piece of Velcro up here to be able to attach that, so it always stays on there.
What about
Super easy.
extending it into your neighbor's property?
Yeah, you can't do that.
Can't do that?
No, you
Okay.
don't want. You want to keep the water on your yard.
Make friendly neighbors. Don't be mean to your neighbor. All right.
You got good grading coming down. They got rock all the way around here. That's gonna all run down. So you always want to kind of take a look at that after you've been in the house for a while, because sometimes when new construction, you get the settlement stuff coming around with that. You might need to scrape some rock back and refill some stuff, because you get the disturbed soils that tend to settle over time with that and with the moisture and stuff. So that'll.
Okay, so number 2 would be air intake, right, Rex? Now, I got an interesting story. I had a client last year that actually had bees inside their house, and it was actually determined that they came in through the air intake.
Yep.
So why don't you touch on this a little bit?
So this is your air exchanger, okay? So air exchangers, they came about in the 90s and stuff, when they were wrapping the houses with plastic and they were having problems with the houses not breathing enough. So they came up with the idea for an air exchanger. It brings in cold, dry air in the wintertime, and it mixes it with the warm moisture in the summer, or from the inside of the house, and then that kicks it out, right? So these are intakes. So this is bringing air into the house. So with that being said, you get all kinds of cottonwood tree debris, different stuff like that gets stuck on those vents, and those need to be cleaned off periodically.
How do you clean them?
Just with a brush or with a shot vac, something like that.
You mean you put it right through the grid?
Yeah, these will pop off where you can get at them. Yours are a little bit better than most. Okay. But a lot of times you can hit them with an old hairbrush, something like that. Don't take it back in the house and put it in your wife's closet. Right? So sorry. The hairbrush, shot vac, anything like that, just to clean that debris off, so it can get the air movement. And with that being said, your air exchanger inside needs to be cleaned as well, because they'll have filters and stuff on there that get filled with debris too, and it just clogs up the system, and you can burn out that motor faster.
Okay, good.
Okay.
All right, now moving on to the central air conditioners.
Yeah.
So what do we want to look for here? I mean, it doesn't feel like summer today. I'll tell you
It's
that.
definitely not summer
But
today.
we will be turning these on at some
Yep.
point. What would you suggest?
So these guys, it's just a visual look at these, because the way these operate, you got a fan up here, and your air comes in like this, gets sucked in, and the fan is blown out. So it's coming in, and it's cooling the system, and it's blowing the hot air out the top. So much like your other exhaust vents that we talked about with the air exchanger, these collect a lot of debris on it. The old cottonwood stuff that we always see.
Yeah.
That stuff gets sucked on here, and you'll get a lot of debris. And you can you can just take a garden hose, a light garden hose. Never use a power washer. I've seen where people use a power washer and they just beat them up. Just a light shower on those, and sometimes you can even take the screens off and you can just brush them off. But just go straight up and down with them, low pressure. It's pretty easy.
You could use your wife's hairbrush again.
If you can get away with that.
Okay.
Handyman. It's another classic handyman thing. The other thing to look for is to make sure. Another thing to look for. So they've got this sealed up really nice. A lot of times you can get in some older houses that are maybe south facing, and this stuff can deteriorate and kind of fall off. And then this is a spot where mice can get in. Okay. So you want to make sure that stuff stays buttoned up nice. Okay.
And all of the things that we've talked about, they're all 5-6 minute things. But they're so critical to the viability of the house.
Exactly.
So here we are. We got item number 4. We got furnace, sump pump, humidifier. It's much warmer than it was about 2 minutes ago.
Oh yeah. A lot warmer.
All right. So where would you like to start, Rex?
So here's your basic furnace. All furnaces are going to be the same. You got a furnace filter that's in here. This guy comes out, and you can pull these up. A little tougher when they're running, but you can pull them out and check them. These smaller filters that are like an inch, change them out about once a month to make your house payment. Change your filter. Make sure your arrow is pointing towards the furnace. Okay, that's very important because there's a screen on there, and as these get dirty, they'll want to suck in to the blower. So you want to make sure that you keep that clean, and then get your cover back on.
Should they buy an expensive filter or a cheap filter? There's always lots of different types of costs there.
Two different ways you can look at it. I mean, my particular furnace, it's got a 4-inch filter. You can get like 6 months out of it. It all depends on if you got animals in the house, different things like that. And also whether you got a 1-inch filter or a 4-inch filter. The 1-inch filters, like I said, change them monthly. Just make sure the arrow is on there. If your kids got allergies, stuff like that, you got to do what you got to do to make sure your kids feel good. But the more expensive filter is really harder on the furnaces because it has so much more resistance. It catches so much more of the debris and resistance. It'll tend to burn the motor out. Okay. Yep. Here's your humidifier. This is ultra common. So that just pops off. Some are different, some screw. This one right here, you got a filter in here, and that just slides out. And what you can do, you can take pictures of this as you're taking it apart so you know how to put it back together. Or YouTube. YouTube is great. They'll have a 10-year-old kid showing you how to do this stuff. But you change this filter out, usually in the fall. Change that out before winter because really your humidifier only runs in the winter. Okay? Here's a really important thing here. I'll see this all the time. So this is open right now. Your humidifier is going to run when it's wintertime. When you're heating, that's when your humidifier runs. Okay? And here's your damper for this. Now this is set up for the heating season, but this is open, right? So air is passing through and coming through, and it's coming into here. This is your return getting sucked into the furnace and then getting heated, then it goes out through the house. So when you're done with running your furnace, when you go to turn on your air conditioner, take this damper and flip that so you block that air. You're going to block most of that air from coming through. Because I've had where I've come into a house in August or September through the air conditioning season, and this thing's been open, so the air conditioning isn't getting cooled and sent through the rest of the house. It's sitting here going recycling through here. Okay, so that's ultra important. So I'll put that back. So yeah, when you switch over to turn your AC on, make sure you come back here and shut that off.
So if you have a sealed sump pump here like this,
yep,
and you're wanting to test it,
yep,
is it advisable to cut the seal, test it, and then reseal it every spring? Or what would you recommend?
I would see if it's got sometimes they've got a little 2-inch plug on there. You can use that. I just had one the other day that I did, and I told the guy just go get a 2-inch hole or go find a plug for it at Menards or Home Depot. Find the size of plug and then take a drill and just drill that out and put that plug in there. That way it's easy access for getting in there. They really should do that because that's something you really want to be checking on.
So you should check it every spring.
It would be good to, yeah.
Because you could have a sump failure, or
you could have a failure now because of a $200 pump or a $300, $400, $500 pump. All of a sudden you got thousands of dollars worth of water damage in your house.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
Okay. But ultimately, grading on the outside, gutters extensions, that has a big factor with how much this is going to run. depending on your soils too. You know.
And what about storing stuff around the sump pump? Is that a big deal?
Nah, it's fine. You just got to be able to get at it when you need to.
Okay. Number 5 is trimming some vegetation around the house, right? Rex,
Yep.
tell us about the perils of that.
Yep. So trees, you know, when homes are new and you move in and you're putting in trees and stuff like that. Like this was arborvitae, if I remember right. Smaller stuff, but these grow up and be big boys someday. And sometimes those can get up high towards the roof line where animals can get up there and they can get on your roof and then they can get in the attic. So you want to be aware of that and keep an eye on that. Keep stuff trimmed back away from the house. Tree branches, you don't want stuff swinging up against the house and scraping the shingles and digging up that stuff. So that's all pretty easy peasy stuff. Again, if you're not used to climbing ladders and running chainsaws, hire it.
Just hire it out.
Find a good handyman.
Okay.
There will.
All right,
Okay.
here we are. We've done the top 5 things
Yep.
that you should do to get your home ready for summer. Rex, thanks for
Yep.
joining us. And why don't you tell everybody the importance of maybe just having an inspector come through your home, even if you're not selling it?
You know, it's just there's a lot of things that can happen to a house that you don't even realize are happening because you're living in the house and you're going to work and you don't understand the full workings of the house and things like that. It's not a bad idea to have a guy come out, home inspector come out and just walk you through some stuff on how the house generally works. Sometimes the people are buying a house without inspections, so they don't get that one and a half hour walkthrough of the house and understand how everything works in the house and stuff like that. So it's not a bad idea.
Keeps the home going.
Keeps the home going, keeps you out of trouble. You know, for the most part, you know, things can happen, but it'll give you a heads up on your house. So,
All right, and
Yeah.
we'll put your info on the screen here so
Sounds
people
good.
can contact you.
sounds good.
And you guys, thanks for watching. And we're going to have a lot more fun, informative videos for you over the course of this year. We look forward to seeing you. Have a great spring.